Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing on a special guest as promised. My husband Tommy will be joining me. We are going to talk about his weight loss journey while taking Mounjaro and using the carnivore diet as a tool. And we will see if that's working for him or not and see where he's at with that. Again, we are not medical professionals. Seek medical advice from a professional, your doctor specifically, before starting any diet, any new medication. Let's get started. All right, for those of you who are new to our channel, or to my channel, this is Tommy, my husband. We live in Ohio with our niece Kaylin. 3 dogs, 2 cats. Life is wild, right?
It's fun.
We are both doing the carnivore diet and take shots. I take Ozempic, he takes Mounjaro, and we have similar but differing experiences with that. So let's kind of get into your experience with Mounjaro. So when you started out with Mounjaro, you were 374 pounds back in February of this year. So February 20th, he weighed 374 pounds. And that was kind of a hard point to be at. We were both kind of miserable, not sleeping well, hard to do things, hard to get around, hard to breathe, hard to move.
Let's back up a bit on my history. I've yo-yoed a bit, and before, the same doctor, he put me on Ozempic before. I was on Ozempic and another pill, which I was currently on this time with the Mounjaro, which is jardiance, and I was on that, and for me, the Ozempic wasn't really working for me before.
Right.
And my weight kind of maintained before. And then we started keto before. And it wasn't really the medication that dropped the weight. It was the keto that dropped the weight. And we dropped a lot of weight from just keto.
Yeah.
I would not, for my body, I wouldn't give Ozempic credit during that period.
No, so during the keto period, he went from about 400 pounds down to 301 was your lowest with keto.
If not under 300, because I think my goal was to hit 250. And then right before that, I told Mom, I said my goal was to hit 250. Mom passed away and I gave up. Never give up on yourself. But that happened. And I gave up on myself and I ballooned right back up. Gave up on keto, all that funeral food. If you're with me, say amen. Funeral food.
Yeah.
Ballooned right back up to almost 400 pounds over the next 2 years.
Yeah. It's easy to do. It's hard when you stop eating that way, and then that wonderful virus took over too, and we were all stuck at home, and takeout was a lot easier.
DoorDash was our friend.
Yep.
So that's kind of a backstory there. So when I went back to the doctor, I told him, I was still on jardiance. We stopped the Ozempic. I told him it wasn't working. So the doctor was telling me instead of Ozempic, there's a new medicine called Mounjaro. Ozempic has 1 hormone, where Mounjaro has 2, and he thought that would be more beneficial for my body and metabolism. So he put me on that, and so far, Megan's going to tell you the success I'm having on Mounjaro that I never had with the Ozempic.
Right, so February 20th, I wrote this down because I couldn't keep track completely, but February 20th, like I said, he weighed 374. March 1st, he was down to 359. Then in April, we kind of hit a funny spell. So for about 2 weeks, he was not feeling his greatest. He was having these dizzy spells anytime he stood up. So Tommy has always kind of experienced what's called orthostatic hypotension. So anytime he stood up too fast, he would get a little bit dizzy. It would resolve itself within just a matter of a couple seconds, and he'd just go on. It's always kind of been an inner ear type thing. His dad experienced it. He experiences it. We've just kind of dealt with it. It's been a normal part of life, so we didn't think much of it. But then those couple seconds to resolve turned into minutes, turned into him almost passing out and stumbling into the dog cage. And if there wasn't a chair, he'd have been on the floor, almost full passing out. I thought it might have been his electrolytes, because he's not really good about wanting to drink his electrolytes, and which he's getting better about now, but things like that. So we started upping his electrolytes, even though he didn't like it, and that still wasn't really helping. And because like one night he had even woken me up talking to his legs, asking them to stop cramping, which is unusual for him. He was walking around sore from cramping, and so I thought it was electrolytes. I think it was a little bit. But then I also, as a nurse, decided to take his blood pressure because things just weren't resolving themselves. And he was still a ways out from his next doctor's appointment. Took his blood pressure.
Let him know I was on really high blood pressure medicine. I was on, I think, 3 blood pressure medicines.
He was on 3 blood pressure medications.
And the highest dosage you could go on. And
a water pill for his sugar, and another water pill that the jardiance causes you to pee out sugar. So all of that lowers your blood pressure. So I decided to take his blood pressure because I was like, you know, maybe it is lower blood pressure with him losing his weight. It might be that. And so I took his blood pressure and it was 90/63, and I said, whoa, hold up, wait a minute. And so I said, don't take your blood pressure medication, because this was in the morning before he took his medication. I said, don't take it today. And I took it again a little bit later that afternoon. I even took it manually because I didn't trust the automatic blood pressure cuff. And it was very similar, and it was staying like at 100 over like 60 and 70. She had me stop taking my medicine with the doctor's consultant for at least 2 weeks until it stabilized. The doctor and Megan said, you know, like, don't start taking it until you at least hit normal again. You know, it took us
just to get the half-life out of my system. And it was at least 2 weeks to get all the medicine worked out of my system. And then at that point, the doctor told me to only start back cutting the blood pressure medicine in half.
One of the 4 blood pressure medications in half is all he's currently taking, and he stays at the bottom end of normal, which is fantastic. I mean, that was a huge change, because before, I mean, we look like a pharmacy in our house between his medications and my medications and things, and it's reduced greatly. Just between Mounjaro, his weight loss, and the carnivore really kicked that into high gear.
And recently, since the spell of the dizziness, and this I will contribute towards the carnivore diet, that hypertension, stephatroparitis, I haven't experienced that.
The orthostatic hypotension.
That's why she went to school. I haven't experienced that since the blood pressure issue. Standing, you know, now I can spring up and run around and not have to stand there for a few seconds. So that going away, either increase of electrolytes potentially, but I'm going to contribute carnivore for that. I'm going to say that carnivore took that away potentially.
That's interesting. I could see that actually being that way, just because you're getting a better balance of your fats and proteins. And another thing that the doctor also did for him was to add in an actual potassium pill and magnesium pill, so that if he's not feeling like he can drink enough electrolytes, that he can take it in pill form. Because with the Mounjaro, like with the Ozempic, he is only able to eat about 1/8 to 1/4 cup of food in a sitting with a meal. And so it's kind of limited on what he can eat. And we are monitoring his sugar like we were monitoring my sugar. Thankfully, it's not dropping his sugar like it was mine yet. But that means that he can't just always drink electrolytes in ready supply at the amounts that he was needing. So the doctor decided to add in potassium and magnesium to kind of help with that. And that has helped quite a bit balance out everything.
So you talked about meal portions. Let's talk about meal time. So we, on Sunday, we went to a Mexican restaurant, and telling them no rice and beans is the hilarious reaction on their face.
Most hilarious reaction.
And, they're like, no rice and beans, and it's like, no, we don't want them, and they don't understand
just chicken cheese? Yes, just chicken and cheese.
So, because we like the Polo One with, just the chicken and cheese.
It's their chicken and cheese dip, and it tastes like carnivore mac and cheese, and it's delicious.
It tastes like mac and cheese. You put pepper on it. It's amazing. Try it if you have it in your Mexican restaurant. So, and then Sunday, I was eating, and I was going to town on it because it was amazing, and I hit that wall, and I'm able to recognize that sign. And I still had over half a plate left. And I'm like, I looked at Megan, I said, I can't finish this. And I was so sad because it was amazing tasting. He
ate maybe 1/8 of a cup of it. And that was it.
So,
and he was done.
trying to learn to eat 5 small meals a day, easily. And protein first, protein first,
Protein and fat, because you really need to eat a balance of the two. Yeah. You can't just eat protein, because for hormone balance and your body to function correctly, you need both to survive. And so eating both of those together in a balanced format, that 2-to-1 ratio is key. And that's really difficult sometimes because there are days that I just want to eat just straight up a piece of like shrimp, and you have to add in some fat with that, and trying to balance all of that out. But yeah, I think something also to remember is that, like with Mounjaro, 5 small meals is important, but that's the same with carnivore. Some people can eat enough calories and protein and fats within like a fasted state or 1 or 2 small meals. I know I can't, he can't with our shots, but even some carnivores can't. And so keeping in mind that it's okay to eat 5 small meals a day if you can't consume enough to remain in a healthier state, eating enough calories, eating enough fat, eating enough protein, that your body doesn't go into starvation mode, that your metabolism doesn't shut down, is going to be important.
For me, we monitor the macros on Carb Manager, and yesterday we put everything in, and it showed that I needed 37 protein and some fat still, and I was done eating. There's no way I could chew or fit anything else. There's no way I could fit another chicken thigh or anything in my system. So last night about 9 o'clock, I asked Megan to make me up a bone broth pack with some collagen and unflavored electrolyte. And I drank that before bed, and I think the combination together was 30 protein, and was there any fat in it?
There wasn't any fat in it, but fat is okay to be a little bit low on, as long as you're hitting at least your protein goal, and you were just shy of your protein goal, but you were close, a lot closer than you've been.
Yeah. So there's ways of getting it in there without having to physically chew or eat something, you know. And I was okay with drinking that, and that got me just to that line to make my macros for the day.
Well, and like with Ozempic, Mounjaro slows your digestion down, and so that is difficult because adding in makes you feel almost too full and can make you physically sick, but drinking can aid in that digestion. So the bone broth made it a little bit easier to swallow and didn't make him feel overly full or sick or that indigestion feeling, the egg burps and just nasty. It helps with being able to digest that a little bit quicker. So then after that little spell of dizziness, he then weighed in April 25th. He was 328. He had a bit of a stall on May 2nd at 325. So we did cheat a little bit. Had some potatoes, some carbs, things like that, a little bit of barbecue sauce. Unintentionally at a restaurant, we ordered a smokehouse sampler at a restaurant and it came out slathered in barbecue sauce. We got as much barbecue sauce off as we could, but there was still some on there. Things like that, and that kind of kicked both of our weight loss back in gear. And then 6'1", he weighed in at 309, and then yesterday he weighed in at 305. So he's finding a lot of success. How are you feeling now?
I feel fine. This morning I woke up. Now, yesterday I hit all my macros, and I, ate, paced myself throughout the day. But this morning I'm bloated. I am bloated and very full. Like, I haven't even eaten breakfast yet, and it's 10 o'clock. So I don't even know where I'm going to fit breakfast right now. So I'll probably drink breakfast because I'm quite full.
Right.
That's just listening to your body,
Right.
that, and almost, that feeling of making yourself eat. The first, I take the shot on Saturday, and this is Tuesday, right? So probably the third day after the shot is probably the worst day. That's the fullest day.
He always feels bloated, I think, on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
After, I don't care how much he eats or drinks on Mondays or Sundays, or even the Saturday, he tends to feel pretty bloated on Tuesdays, and that's when we call it set in, his shot sets in. And
then by Thursday and Friday, it's like buffet at Golden Corral because I'm starving and I'm ready for my next shot because it's gone, and I'm ready to eat a whole cow, so that's kind of a ebb and flow of the shot for me. Like it ramps up, and it's, so today I'm not wanting to eat anything, but by Friday I'll be ready to eat an entire, so that's something to keep in mind if you're on the shop.
Right. And
to not go crazy.
And as much as he wants to eat everything, he will still hit a wall, so he'll load up a plate, but the second he starts eating,
mine never matter.
He'll hit the wall and it'll be done. And it'll still be an eighth to a quarter cup, and like max out at the quarter cup at that point. But something to keep in mind with Mounjaro is that we struggle to be able to pick it up at the pharmacy. So we were told by the pharmacist recently that there is a massive shortage on it.
On the upper ends, the higher doses.
Right, on the 7.5s, the 10s, the 12s, that there is a shortage on it. And I have heard that they are seeking approval from the FDA for weight loss use, which is scary because he uses it for diabetes, and that's the intended use, and it's not going well, and they're already short on it, so I can't imagine if they get approval for weight loss use as well, where we're going to be.
When I went to get my newest script, because the doctor just increased, because you're increased every, 3 months, I think, they increase your dosage. So the doctor just increased me, and I went to the pharmacy to get it filled, and the doctor didn't put the my diabetic code
diagnosis code
on the script. So my insurance refused to cover it, you know, and of course the insurance should know that already codes and stuff, but so they kicked it back and wouldn't cover it. So I had to call the doctor again, tell him to add the code on the prescription and resend a new script. So you might run into that if you're trying to get the prescription. The insurance companies and the FDAs are really cracking down on who has access to these medications, just because I believe they have been widely abused, and they want to make sure that you have diabetes or really need the medicine.
Yeah. Because yes, weight loss is a wonderful benefit to both of these medications, but the main benefit that we're both seeing is the improvements in diabetes, insulin resistance, things like that.
Also decrease of medication. I mean, it took me off the 5 blood pressure meds down to just the 1. It took me off of my my jardiance. I'm no longer taking the jardiance, so I'm only on the one diabetes pill, which is the shot, and the doctor said that was the goal, you know. So I mean that was its intention, you know.
Well, and his sugar was staying well up in the like 130s, 140s range after meals, and is now staying in the 90s to 100s range, which is right where we want it. And
that's because of our lifestyle and carnivore, though, because we're not eating the potatoes and the sweets and the sugars.
Right. And again, Mounjaro and Ozempic are a tool that are helping us get to that. I think eventually our goal is to be off of the shots and
maintain
carnivore, because we are really enjoying this lifestyle.
Yeah. As she said, I'll re-emphasize what she said. She said, the Mounjaro for me is just a tool to teach my brain that sensation of fullness. I didn't have that, the chemical, Megan can educate maybe that chemical, but the chemical that says, hey, you're full, stop eating. And that's really what the Mounjaro... The hormone, yeah. And that's really what the Mounjaro is doing for me, to say, hey, you're full, stop that. Right. And I think Megan showed a video that coming off the shot, that's tough for some people sometimes too. Yeah. So we got to be mindful of that. We'll probably do an update trying to wean ourselves off the Mounjaro eventually once we do hit goal weight, because I've had friends or even other nurses like, do you plan on being this on the shot forever? I hope not. I hope it's just a tool. But what will coming off the shot look like?
Right, and I'm going to be doing an update video pretty soon, because I stepped down to the half dose of what I was taking because of my blood sugar, and I still feel like I'm too full to get the calorie intake that I need on the carnivore diet for my body size and type, to maintain my hormone levels and to prevent muscle wasting and prevent starvation mode. And so I plan on probably going down another step. I'm still feeling very, very full and limited on the amounts I can eat. Even though I've increased the amount I can eat, it's still too little for what I'm able to intake. I celebrated yesterday because I was just able to barely make all of my goals on my carb manager, to know exactly that I was able to hit all of my macros for the first time in several months. And that was amazing, but it was really hard work to get to that. And you can ask him, I was eating all day yesterday just to try to get to that. So, but be looking for that update soon. We're going to continue working on carnivore. We will keep you updated on how that's going. And Tommy will be joining me periodically, and I plan on sharing more recipe videos and how things are going, and let you know as we're coming back off of the shots, and how that's going for us. But until our next video, until we see you again, until then, bye friends.